Welcome to Not a Drama. In this video I'm going to cover how you can have these gorgeous looking overlays in your VR. As you can see, they're in the right position, they're nice and black, and they're just the way where I want them to be. I'm going to show you how can you achieve these and how, in my opinion, this is actually breaking one of the points against VR, saying that you cannot have overlay and you're going to miss your overlay from tripod. Well, it's not the case anymore. So this is that you see at the moment is Kapps. I'm going to show you how to have this overlay in Kapps. And I'm going to cover as well an emerging overlay application called Racelab, which is in alpha stage, so not fully ready for maybe prime time, but is a very active developer following the Racelab application. He's promising to actually create some way to have native VR overlays, so it may be even a better solution of what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to demo to you Racelab as well and show you the overlays you can actually already use in VR, although at the moment I'm using Kapps. So I'm going to first show you how can I do this and see these windows right here that you see at the moment, and then I'm going to talk through Racelab after I show you how to do this with Kapps. So let's follow the rest of the video. I'm going to show you exactly how to get this in Kapps, and then if you're happy with that and you buy me on that, don't need to see the rest of the video, but you can stick with the rest of the video to see more experimentation with Racelab and a few other consideration of other VR applications, because as you can see now I need actually the controllers to position these windows and to use the application that is you see here. I have the little widget. This is OVR Toolkit and allows me to actually position the windows and pick the windows up. To use OVR Toolkit you need controllers. You may not have controllers if all you do is sim racing and driving. I strongly suggest you to buy controllers anyway. I bought these second hand, these Vive controllers together for £85, and it's a good investment to have these kind of overlays with OVR Toolkit, which is the application I'm using right now. I'm going to show you as well a solution which is this OVR Drop, which allows you to have overlays without the needs of controllers, but you're going to be limited to one overlay. You're not going to be able to have multiple windows, and there are a few other limitations I'm going to cover. But if you're interested in seeing how to do this, stick around. I'm going to show it that you right now. I'm going to show you step by step how I do this in Kapps and how do I position my windows there and how I do it. So stick around. Alright, so here we are with the behind the scene, what is happening on the desktop, and what you see was those gorgeous overlays in VR. So these were the overlays, right? We add a third one, which is our fuel calculator, which is down there. So as you can see, I positioned the window all the way down here because the fuel calculator actually doesn't let me to click through. So if you stick it in the middle of the screen, it will interfere with mouse usage in iRacing. So you don't want to have it there, but you can very easily put it all the one down here. OVR Toolkit, which is the application I use for the overlay, does not have any problem with that, right? So the application I'm talking about to do the overlays is not OVR Drop, right? But it is OVR Toolkit, which is running at the moment, right? So we have OVR Drop is another option. OVR Drop is simpler, doesn't require controllers, but a few limitations I'm going to show you later on if you're interested to stick around. So OVR Toolkit is what I'm using, and I'm going to show you then how to build that windows and how I did it in VR. Now before doing that, let's focus on the overlays themselves. These are Kapps overlay, right? I'm going to talk later on to with Racelabs. So if you're interested to see how I did that with Kapps, let's dive into that. So let me close them off, right? So I don't have those windows anymore, right? And I'm going to show you step by step how I do that into VR. So I'm actually opening the main window of Kapps. You may already use Kapps with tripod screens or single screen, and you may be missing it in VR, right? So remember, first step is download OVR Toolkit. It's €9, totally worth it to pay for it. Just go with it. So what you can do normally, you may have your standings, your relatives, your fuel calculator, and then if you're on a screen, you just open them in a window. You can reposition them where you want and do whatever you want. Now the problem with this is that this window has a transparency layer, right? But in VR, it's just going to take the whole screen and you're going to see through what you see as well here. So you are not going to be able to mirror those windows. What you will need to do is to use the browser window. So let me untick this and this. What we want to do, we want to open one browser window for each overlay. So we are not going to select them. We're going to select only standings for now. And I'm going to say, okay, I want my standings open in a browser. So you do that, and you're going to have all these messy interface from Chrome, right, or whichever browser you use. I suggest Chrome anyway, because what you can do with Chrome is to actually take this add-on, which is open as pop-up, right? So you want to install this Chrome extension, open as pop-up, because what allows you to do is when you click on it, in the racing overlay, when you click on it, is actually reopen the window without all the Chrome interface. So very nice and clean window. So I can do edit in Kapps to see how it will look like in an active iRacing session. I can resize my window tightly to where I want it to be, and then click apply, and I'm done with that, right? So I'm going to have my racing overlay for the standing. Let's leave it on edit version, so we see like we pretend to be in an iRacing session. Okay, so we have our standings. Now let's open the relatives, and let's open in a browser. Let's open as a pop-up, click on edit so we see where the window is, and we can resize it nicely, and we click on apply, right? And then again, for now, let's leave it in edit for the sake of the video so you can see something. Now for the fuel calculator, I'm not going to use the fuel calculator here. I'm actually going to dedicate the fuel calculator page, because this one I can actually open as a window. And remember, I just say that you just drag the window all the way down there, so it's not giving you problem. Now let's go back in VR, right? I just close all the windows and reopen them. Let's see if everything is working. All right, I'm back here in VR, and look what happened. Our overlays are done. So will I have to redo all my setup of the overlays in VR every time? Do I really need to do everything? No, it's much easier than that. All you will need to do is to ensure that you close OVR Toolkit and open it again. So let me grab the keyboard here, and I'm going to do this from here. You can actually close OVR Toolkit through Steam, but it's not so reliable. So just be sure that if you end up in this situation after you open all your windows, what you want to do is just close OVR Toolkit. So let me do that. OVR Toolkit, I want to kill it. So now that I kill it, as you see, it's gone. So if we take our controllers, okay, so I have my Vive controllers here, and this one is alive. Okay, so my controllers, as you can see, I don't have OVR Toolkit anymore running. You should be able to open it from here, and that should not be a problem. So launch VR overlay, and it loaded. So I have my windows, but you see a problem here. I have racing overlay with the relatives, racing overlay with the relatives. Now the application is getting confused because the windows that Kapps open in the browser, they all have the same title, which is racing overlay, and that is making the application confused, and we don't see anymore our standings there. So it's not possible with OVR Toolkit to mirror windows that have the same title, right? So how are we going to go around that? I'm going to show you right now how you can change the title of the standings window. We're going to call it standings, so that OVR Toolkit will remember the difference between the relative windows and the standing windows. So follow me, I'm going to show you that straight away. So we saw the issue, right? We are not going to be able to mirror windows that have the same title, and no matter what you do here, is always going to open the window with that specific title. But what you can do is fairly simple, okay? So you just right click on your overlay and you do inspect. This will bring up the actual HTML source of the application. So what you can do here is you can expand the head, and you can go into title, right click on title and do edit as HTML. This will allow you to change the title of the window. Very simple. So we do standings, right? You just will need to, if you, whatever you choose to be the title, then just use the same, right? So standings, right? So now we change the name. Now magically when we go back to VR, everything should be okay, right? So that's the only thing we need to remember to do. So let me go back to VR and I'm going to show you that. Alright, so we saw that we can mess around with windows. Let me show you, let's pretend that we want to recreate the whole overlay situation there. So how you actually use OVR Toolkit. So you double click on the grips on your controller and it's going to bring up these widgets. So I'm going to do a spawn new window and it's going to be in the desktop by default, but you can do switch window and you see that it's actually highlighting in yellow the window which I'm working on. So I can do now a fuel calculator, right? And I hold my grip and I can actually position where I want it. I can then go into Windows settings. I can make it smaller. I can change the opacity if I want to. I can change the frame rate. With Kapps, seems to be okay to leave the frame rate as it is and the eco mode as it is. What is important is for you to remember to actually have ping window enabled, which means that next time you open OVR Toolkit, it's going to search for a window with that name and put it there, right? So then we want to put our relatives. So we do a span new window, switch window, and again, because we changed the title, we have racing overlay and we have standing. So we do racing overlay, we know that is our relative, but as you can see now I changed the original one, right? So let me click that again and do switch window and be sure to do fuel calculator. Okay, I want to edit this window, so I need to be sure to select this one. And when I do switch window, you see now that is the one with the yellow around. So I can do racing overlay and my relatives and I can put them there. And then I want my standings, so I spawn a new window and then I do be sure that is the one selected. I do switch window and I'm going to do my standings and then I can put my standings up over there. Now this is all great and you can see I have my windows there. If there is anything you don't like about your windows, in Windows settings you can just close it and then you can also go window list, right? And it just says, okay, I don't need this one anymore, so I close it. I don't need this one anymore, I close it, and that leave unaffected my window. So as you can see, you can have also the same window open in different positions, and maybe you want your relatives on the right and also on the left, you know, whatever is best for you. You can also have your chat overlay, for example, and a very nice things you can do with a window. Let's say you want to have your chat overlay, but you don't want to see your chat all the time because it may distract you. Well, if you spawn a new window, and let me as you can see now I locked it on the controller, and then going to actually switch window, and I'm going to put let's pretend that this is our chat window, right? So I can position it where I want it, right? But that will be distracting while I'm driving. So what I can do is I can go into the Windows setting and I can do actually hide when not looking. So you see it disappear, but if I look at it, it appears. So it's very great. You're driving around, you want to check on the chat, you can just do that, but it's not going to be on the way while you're racing. Is not, you know, looking at apexes, it's not going to bother you. If you really specifically look for it, it's actually going to pop up, right? Now I don't need this one, so I'm going to close it down. So this is a very fast way to explain you how OVR Toolkit operate. There is a little pro tip I'm going to show you that is about the actual background of the window, because as you can see now, the window for the standings is actually white. The window from the relatives is black because they're relatives. But if you get out of a session and you're watching a replay, for example, in VR, that's going to be a big white window and it's going to be very annoying. So I'm going to show you how you can change as well the background from your browser window to actual black. So let me show you that in a second. All right, so we have here our standing and our relative. Now, when we are not in a session, this is how they look like. So this will be during your replays, or this will be for the standings. For example, in the first lap of the race, you're going to have this big white box blinding you, and you don't really want that. But you can easily change the background to black. So again, we right click, do inspect, and then we want to go here on body, right click and do edit as HTML. And we just make sure that we are inside this bracket, and then we just type style equal and we do our double quote, and then we write background color space black semicolon, and we just click away from it, and you see it just turned black, right? So now the line in between is actually as well black. Is going to be much better on your eye in VR. We want to do the same here, so we do inspect, and we do on body, right click, edit as HTML, and on body here again we do style equal double quote, and inside we write background color black, or you know, if you like it pink, you can make it pink, whatever, but probably black is the best for your eyes. Semicolon, just click anywhere away from it, and now this is black, and that is how you're going to see as well in your overlay. Now let me show you instead how it works OVR Drop. So I'm going to close OVR Toolkit, right? So we are going to lose the overlays in VR, but then it's just a matter of reopening OVR Toolkit and everything will be magically there. So once you set it up, you just have to be sure that you open OVR Toolkit after you change the title of the window, you change the background to black, and you're good to go, right? So now let's try to open actually OVR Drop. Let me open it now. So I open OVR Drop, and what OVR Drop it allows you to do is to actually pick only one window. So we have to choose either the standings or the relatives. So more likely will be the relatives, the one you want to pick. So when you pick a window, what it's doing is forcing it on the foreground. So this is the first big limitation with OVR Drop, is that the window will be forced on the foreground. So to don't interfere with the mouse when you are in the iRacing session, you want to put it probably here on the top left corner. If you put it away like this, it will only render this part of the window. You will miss the rest of the window. As you can see, this is a big limitation, but the plus of that is if you don't have controller, you can use OVR Drop for that. So let me open OVR, let me go back in VR. So you are going to see, so now this overlay, let me go back in edit so you see like this, and you're going to see it in OVR Drop, and I show you how can you use OVR Drop without having controllers. Alright, now I'm with the OVR Drop, so I close OVR Toolkit. As you can see, the rest of my overlays disappear, but I have my relatives there at least. Now you can actually position the window using the keys on your keyboard, right? So you don't need a controller, and you can actually reposition the window as you want it. It's a little bit fiddly, and it's obviously not the best to have to, as you can see now I'm getting confused to, okay, tilting back there. So yeah, I positioned it, it's okay, but yeah, it's a little bit messy to reorganize it compared to just use the controller and grip windows around. Plus, if you're, for example, renaming a setup in iRacing, or using the chat in iRacing, or doing whatever else in your computer and pressing keys on the keyboard, you may inadvertently move the window around. So OVR Drop is good if you don't have controllers, but we strongly suggest you to actually invest in a second-hand Vive Pro controllers. They work fine with a Valve Index, as you can see, and will give you much greater control. Talking of OVR Toolkit and better overlays, let me show you as well. Racelab is in an alpha stage. The developer is promising native VR support, so I'm very excited about that. The app is already looking very nice. I'm going to show you how it looks compared to Kapps, and again I'm going to default back to OVR Toolkit because it's really what I suggest you to actually have to use overlays in VR properly. So let me show you Racelab in place of Kapps. Alright, now I'm in the session. Let me jump into practice. Okay, so we actually don't see anything, right? Because we didn't tell OVR Toolkit that we want our overlays. So turn on our controllers. Yeah, so here OVR Toolkit. So double click on the grips, is coming up. Perfect. So I want to actually switch window, and I can choose the relative overlay, and I can position it. somewhere right here. And maybe I can go in the Windows settings, I can do it a little bit smaller. As you can see, is a little bit the performance seems to be a little bit losing frames and stuff. So if you put 90 frames and you disable echo mode, it's becoming much more fluid. I can make it maybe a little bit smaller still, position it as I want it. So I'm going to put it right there. I can also make it a little bit semi-transparent, so beautiful, it looks gorgeous already, right? As you can see, is also having my throttle indication. Is actually, if I turn on the car, going to have my gears indication, right? So very, very nice indeed. Now we can have as well our standings. So if I go back into home and then going to spawn a new window, that is my window there. So I'm docking it there, so I have my window, and then if I go, just be sure that I click it, so when I switch window, I have now standing overlay. As you can see, it's already with the right name, so you don't need to mess too much around like with Kapps. However, the standing is still limited. The developer is working a lot on the application, so it will be much better. The other problem you may see here is that in VR, the window is still have loads of transparency there, and there's not much you can do about that, right? So maybe you can position it, I don't know, somewhere like this, for example, making it smaller, a little bit transparent and smaller. So I can have it maybe like this, so it's not too annoying. But yeah, compared to Kapps, the problem with Racelab in VR at the moment, especially for the standings, is that the window is taking too much space. It's actually not too bad. With the relative, it's taking more space than it needed, as you can see, but it's nice and black, so it's actually not going to be too much of a problem, right? So yeah, it's actually working as well with Racelab. But I would love to see the VR supported natively by this app. I can't wait for that to happen. I'd be more than happy to collaborate with the developer if he needs more help troubleshooting this, and I can make follow-ups video on how Racelab is evolving in the VR space. But yeah, let me just go back to my desk to actually close this off. Alright, this is all I had to cover, and as I said, I believe this is really helping for those of you which are considering VR but scared to lose their overlays. Not only you can do that with Kapps, we also have a new option such as Racelab, which may come with a breakthrough on support of VR, and I really hope that the developer will be able to pull it off. You can also use Kapps together with Racelab at the same time. I'm going to put in the description the links to the OVR Toolkit, which is the application I think is the best to actually use your overlays. I'm going to put links to Kapps, and I'm going to put the links to Racelab to the actual forum post in iRacing from where you can download it. I strongly suggest you to give a look into Racelab. Maybe not fully ready yet for VR, and have a few features missing compared to Kapps, but as I say, you can use the both application at the same time, so you can try that, and hopefully Racelab will then become our app of choice for us VR users. So I hope that this video was helpful and that the explanation was clear enough. If not, let me know in the comments if you have any other question. Please like this video and subscribe, so you're going to push me to actually provide more content for the channel. Thank you everyone, and also Happy New Year, given we just are on the 2nd of January, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.